Hi, Dave here, welcome back to Hollybush Railway. Today I've taken a trip up to Perth for another exhibition video. Whinfell, N-Gauge, Air Model Railway Group. Whinfell is a fictional layout based very loosely on the north of England and southern Scotland area. Some would liken it to a settle in Carlisle type, but the buildings are more akin to NBR profile, hence making it difficult to pinpoint an origin. The main line meanders through fell-like countryside with passing loops located near the small station which serves the village and its rural hinterland. At one end, the village is a mixed batch of housing types, with the rural school and small garage typical of the type found anywhere in the region. The station has one bay platform to accommodate terminating DMU traffic, and a small goods shed handles produce from and supplies to the local community. The other end of the layout past the viaduct is a more rural setting with a small farm. The layout can be operated from steam through to late 80s diesel traction, with local and through freight and passenger services. However, more modern traction could also be supported if desired, as the scenery is fairly ageless. Roshven, Double O Gauge, John Nurani and Joe Marcella. Roshven is based on the initial proposal for the building of the West Highland Line north from Craigendoran Junction on the Clyde. This plan was abandoned prior to the depositing of the bill in Parliament, with Mallaig subsequently providing the facilities originally planned for Roshven. Today, Roshven, like Mallaig prior to the railway's arrival, consists only of a handful of houses. Had the railway reached Roshven, it would have performed the same function as Mallaig did, and so it is assumed that the railway and local developments would have been similar, hence the track layout and a number of buildings that are similar to those found in Mallaig today. Unlike the area around Mallaig, the Moidart Peninsula has significant forestry, so in the rationalisation following the decline of the fishing industry, one siding has been kept for the loading of round timber. The model is set in the period from December 1987, when the RETB signalling was first introduced, through to 2003, when the system was significantly upgraded. This covers the changeover from locomotive haulage to sprinters and the first years of privatisation. The sequence operated reflects these changes. The steam service operated from Fort William and the intercity land cruise train is also represented.
It was quite smooth across the joins there. Yeah, if you put dowels in the
dowels and
faces,
I'm actually saying
Hinkley, N-Gauge, Stirling and Clickmannon District MRC. This layout represents a small town's terminus station located in the English Midlands. It is designed to show what can be modelled in a small space in N-Gauge, with the majority of the scenery being scratch built. Nazareth Portland Cement, N-Gauge, Phil Bagley. Constructed over a period of 12 months, The layout is based on the cement manufacturing industry of northeast Pennsylvania in the United States of America. It is very light, built with ply-framed extruded foam baseboards. It features scratch-built card structures based upon those found in the industry. The plant depicts the transport of cement from the earliest times, beginning with bagged cement shipped in boxcars, through pressurised air canisters and open gondolas, to purpose-built, fully enclosed covered hopper cars. These major railroad innovations originated in northeast Pennsylvania. Much of Lehigh Cement built New York City, the Panama Canal, and civil engineering projects throughout the northeast. Canute Road Quay, double O gauge, Graham Musprat. Canute Road Quay is a dock and quayside layout located somewhere around the Canute Road area within Southampton Docks, operated primarily by the Southern Railway between 1946 to 1949. It can also be operated in different eras, such as early or late British Railways periods. The track plan is based on the time-saver shunting puzzle, incorporating a short runaround loop and kickback sidings. A small 1-foot fiddle yard utilising short cassettes allows for an additional length of the main head shunt and a quick change of rolling stock. The other two shorter sidings and head shunts will be just about able to hold either 2 or 3 box vans, or an SR bogie van B, and a small shunting local such as USA Tank or Adams B4. The very front edge of the layout has been modelled as a dockside wall, and the siding at the top right hand corner includes a small local shed. albeit single road and in semi-low relief, being a sub-shed of and similar look to the one actually at Southampton Docks.
What? Yeah. That was my area. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Steeple Bumpleigh, EM Gauge, Norman Raven. Steeple Bumpleigh is a small essay in EM gauge, where the track gauge is 18.2mm as opposed to the 16.5mm of OO gauge. Although the layout is fictional, the name is drawn from references in the Jeeves and Wooster stories by P.G. Wodehouse. The layout represents a small station in Goodshard on a truncated branch line somewhere in the western region of British Railways in the 1960s, with a small cement works providing an additional source of traffic. Operation is simple. Passenger services are provided by a Class 105 DMU, and goods traffic is local hauled. Trains appear on the layout from the storage yard, shuffle about a bit and then return. Shunting moves are made up as they go, hence the sometimes puzzled look of the operators.
the one for the loaded con will cover it. Okay.
Janice Yards, O Gauge, Miles and Janice McGregor. Tucked away in the rolling hills of central Scotland, Janice was once a proud industrial hub in the golden age of the railways. From the mid-1800s to the late 20th century, 3 busy lines converged here, moving people and goods, essential for the surrounding communities. By the mid-1970s, all 3 had fallen victims to cuts and rationalisations. The once busy station fell silent, the yard overgrown, and the railway tavern, once the railwayman's favourite, slipped into decline. In 2011, Miles and Janice McGregor, local residents and lifelong passionate rail enthusiasts, bought the derelict railway tavern and adjoining goods yard. They reopened the pub in 2012 as the Lock Inn, and began to plan to bring the railway back to Janice. From 2019, their vision took shape, with the vaulted cellars beneath the viaduct transformed into a thriving underground music venue and nightclub. Track laying began in early 2023 on a section of the yard and restored loop line. The replica of Wormit Station building was completed in 2024, and in 2025, the Janice Yards Heritage Railway officially opened to the public. True to Miles's love of classic diesels, the line operates with a roster of vintage BR era locals, with the very occasional steam visitor drawing extra crowds. A small freight operation continues the tradition of working goods yards, moving timber, agricultural products from local suppliers, and of course Amazon parcels. Janice is once again a place where trains are heard, railway heritage is celebrated, and the community gathers. Visitors can ride the restored section of the loop line, explore the yards during themed diesel weekends, and enjoy live music in the viaduct cellars, or just simply relax in the lock-in, watching some classic cars go by.
They don't need you, right, okay. Right, you're now getting the 37 food. That's all set.
Newton Ferrier, 00 gauge, Perth Model Railway Group. This fictitious layout is set in remote countryside at a location anywhere you imagine it to be. The track plan is based on a real location in the northeast of England, just south of the Scottish border. The scene depicts a trailing crossover and refuge loops, where slow and low priority trains can be sidetracked to allow the express passenger or high priority freight trains to pass unhindered to maintain their scheduled timetable. They've added a branch line to cater for a local colliery. The layout was created with a view to show trains in a country scene where the loops and signals are controlled by a signalman separate from the train operators. The train operators obey the signals, which may not always allow a train into the following section. Locomotives and rolling stock come from the club members, so the period and region on display can vary from the pre-nationalisation era to the modern day, but not all at the same time. For this year's show, however, all the locos in stock will be from pre-nationalisation times.
Cars and men, can you? This wagon.
Newcastle Triangle, N-Gauge, Glenrothes Model Railway Club. In the summer of 2024, the club decided that they needed a new small layout that could easily be transported in a car to exhibitions, and so demonstrate just what can be achieved even in a very small space. To that end, plans were drawn up for this layout, Newcastle Triangle. Fully assembled, the layout measures at just under 7 feet by 2 feet, while the scenic box is just 18 inches by 9 inches. The layout and electrics have been kept as simple as possible. In keeping with the tradition of the club, the layout takes its name from the local area, in this case the Newcastle district of West Glenrothes.
Party and the lunch club in the so and the two of them for traditional cake and then they had the chocolate one. So I had to get the a piece of
Ashton Steel, double O gauge, Colin Mather. Ashton Steel represents a compact steel terminal set somewhere in northern England. It's served by a trip working from a larger yard, with wagons shunted on site by the works shunter. To maximise siding length, the layout uses no points. Track changes are handled via sector plate off-scene. Expect to see locomotives from EWS, Colas, GBRF and Freightliner in action. Hamtramck, H.O. Gage, Steve Benjamin. Hamtramck is a city in the US state of Michigan, almost surrounded by Detroit, the Motor City. Grand Trunk Western Railroad always had a presence in Hamtramck, as well as Detroit. Being a subsidiary of Canadian National Railway, GT always had the basic look of CN, but with blue and red instead of the CN black and red, although that is now disappearing. This recently developed industrial park contains a Mercedes factory, ethanol transfer terminal, grain elevator and more. It connects to CN GT's East Yard and with the Conrail shared South Yard. CN engines are the main power at the site, with occasional visits from Norfolk Southern and CSX via the South Yard. Glebe St Shed, O Gage, Elgin Model Railway Club. The year is 1963 and the layout is set in urban Glasgow, somewhere northeast of Partick in the Maryhill area, but it is an imaginary location. Although designed to operate as a standalone layout, it can also be connected to the club's main O Gage layout, Glebe Street. Inverboyndie, 00 gauge, Greenock Model Railway Club. Inverboyndie is a small village near Banff on the Moray Firth. The layout is based on Banff and features gravity coach shunting as per the real Banff station. The layout is run in the era just before the line closed in 1964. The main sites are the distillery, the harbour and the rugged coastline and beaches.
Is that the wire building?
Look at the bunker's forwards to push it out. Go for the
Right. Yeah, see you later, mate.
Glendevon, 00 gauge, Edinburgh and Lothian's Miniature Railway Club. The period is British Railways just before the beaching era. The passenger and pickup goods trains still travel their way along the line as they have done for many years. While the occasional diesel might be seen, there is no sign of the sweeping changes that the next decade will bring. Glendevon depicts two scenes, a halt and brewery, and the terminus on a supposed ex-North British Railway branch line leading off the Devon Valley line between Alloa and Kinross. There is a village called Glendevon in the area, at the south end of Gleneagles, but the layout and village they have built is a fiction. The name was taken from a West Edinburgh business and a story made up to fit the name. Carricknell Halt was so named after a district in the same part of Edinburgh.
I like your t-shirt.
This layout had one of my favourite trains of the weekend. On a swelteringly hot and humid day when my energy was flagging fast trying to film, they brought out the Custard Cream Express. A goods train with wagons full of biscuits for everyone.
Yep, then you can go backwards. What I might do, because we've got a passenger, and you're busy shunting, I'll see if you want to take the passenger away, and that way it doesn't sort of interfere with what's going on. So I'll see if they want to take the passenger.
Ready to accept something if you want to send it
We
down.
can send you a passenger.
No one requested the station this time. Or several people requested it and the driver just ignored them. There's so many wheels.
We've come up with a little M board and stuff. Massively long rail tour, isn't it?
I don't think we can send another bus when that's still
okay.
here, because it's going to think that we're wanting that to move.
That's true.
Once that's been retrieved, totally can go on his path again.
And then you control the ROM.
Are you guys able to accept a biscuit?
Salzburg MT, N-Gauge, Inverness Model Railway Club. Salzburg MT is a North American layout based on a transcontinental model in northwestern United States in the 1960s and 70s. The focal point is a double-track helix, approximately 4 foot square with an incline of 2 degrees. members created the scenery with their own castings of real Highland rock. Glasgow Queen Street, O'Gage, Macquarie. Glasgow Queen Street Station has been designed as an addition to the well-known Eastfields depot layout, but can also be exhibited in its own right as seen here today. Eastfield was built 7 years ago, and 2 years ago Mick decided to add to what is already a very big layout anyway, and took on the challenge of constructing a model of Glasgow Queen Street. It is still a work in progress, with the frontage taking shape as they go month to month. Queen Street in the 1980s had many different liveries, and some of these are on display here. Lockerbie, double O gauge, James Cochrane and Andrew Campbell. Lockerbie is situated on the West Coast Main Line and is a two-platform station, with the main building being of Tudor style, built by William Tite around 1847. Lockerbie has changed quite a bit since then. No longer the busy junction with two signal boxes, a branch line and covered bay platforms, or the engine shed, which was situated behind the southbound loop. The two loops, one northbound and one southbound, which run behind the platform, are still there, as are the sidings south of the bridge. The original idea for this layout of Lockerbie was conceived in 2020, and it has been built by James Cochrane and Andrew Campbell of the Glasgow and West of Scotland Model Railway Club. The decision was taken to model the period between 2000 and 2014. This allows them to run a prototypical broad range of modern image trains. Kirkton, N-Gauge, Falkirk Model Railway Club. This UK outline N-Gauge layout is built simply on an 8-foot by 4-foot board. Kirkton is an imaginary village set in the 1960s at the end of the steam era and the introduction of diesel power. The village sits on a main line where express trains occasionally stop. However, there are more frequent stopping local passenger services as well as passing freight. Apart from a shop, pub and school, there is also a busy goods yard with some industrial units.
Oh, is that your got shot? Triangle 31 that you got missing.
Smallburn, 00 Gauge, Cooper and District Model Railway Club. Smallburn is a small fictional village station set in the rolling countryside of Ayrshire, although it could easily be found in any rural corner of Scotland. The station takes its name from the gentle burn that runs nearby, a feature that adds to the charm and character of the location. The station is primarily served by locomotives from the depots at Ayr and Hurlford, providing a regular mix of steam and early diesel traction. These engines handle both passenger and light freight duties, reflecting a transitional era in British railway history. Recently, the first of the diesel multiple units have begun to appear, marking a shift in local services. Also making regular appearances are the Park Royal and AC Cars rail buses, affectionately known to the locals as doodlebugs due to their unique look and sound. Every detail of Smallburn has been carefully crafted to capture the feel of a quiet rural Scottish station during a time of change in the railway landscape.
minute, I want to switch this. Okay. Keep going, you're fine.
Seething, Illinois. H.O. Gage. Joe Loftus. Set in 1970s Chicago, the layout represents the edge of an urban industrial park, with the rails weaving in between the various factory buildings. The yard is operated by the Rock Island Railroad in its last decade of existence, although locos from the Union Pacific and Santa Fe regularly show their face, hauling stock that would have been seen in the area at the time. Aberdeen Kirkhill, double O gauge, Glendaniel. Aberdeen Kirkhill Traction and Rolling Stock Depot is a fictitious layout set in a real location. They have assumed that the site of the existing Clay Hills depot has been sold for city centre redevelopment, and the depot relocated to the site of Craiginch's Yard a few miles to the south. This is a scheme that was considered by British Rail during the 1980s, so it is a real what if. The layout is set in the late 1980s and utilises traction and rolling stock which is authentic to the period. They are running a sequence which is based on the working timetable from the winter of 1987 to 1988. The idea of the layout is to attempt to show the amount of work that went on behind the scenes during a typical day and night at a traction and rolling stock maintenance depot. Many of the trains you see passing on the main line have either recently left the depot or will shortly arrive there.
Those buttons there. I can't paint the rails red where it is because it's well, where it is.
used to stop there, didn't we? So it's actually in the wrong place anyway. We could work out where Fisher 27 is. Does that work? I don't know where you put it. Here for the rest of the day if I do.
Largoward, double O gauge, East Neuk Model Railway Club. Largoward is a small village in Fife on the east coast of Scotland. It was not reached by a railway until 1898, when the East Fife Central Railway built a goods station just south of the village. This railway was a goods-only line, running from Leven to Lockerbie, carrying agricultural produce. It closed in 1964. This model is an accurate replica of the real location, but to add operational interest they have used some modeller's licence. What if the line stayed open longer into the 1970s? What if the coal industry developed in northeast Fife? What if a cement industry developed in this area? What if the line became popular for rail tours, or jointly used by the early preservation movement, as indeed the Lockerbie Railway did from 1967 to 1992, running an A4 Pacific? 5 Mile House, double O gauge, Lincoln and District Model Railway Club. The original 5 Mile House was an inn used by the barges during the days of the horse-drawn barge packets on the River Witham in Lincolnshire. It also gave its name to one of the stations on the Lincolnshire Loop Line, constructed by the Great Northern Railway. It was sited on the south side of the river, with Fiskerton, the village it served, on the north bank. For villagers to access the station, they would have to use the chain-driven ferry to cross the river. The layout is a representation of the station circa 1935, and viewers are standing on the Fiskerton side of the River Witham, on the site of the current footbridge, looking south. The only building is a signal box, rebuilt after a fire in about 1919, which operated the points, signals and crossing gates. Trains that ran through 5 Mile House were many and varied, with a mixture of trains from fish trains from Boston to coal trains from Yorkshire. They also run a variety of passenger trains. This includes everyday stoppers to express trains which have been diverted to the loop line from the main line. Faskally Junction, O gauge, East Kilbride Model Railway Club. Faskally Junction, if it existed, would be just to the north of Pitlochry on the Highland Main Line. The layout represents a junction leading west to a branch serving Strathearn. Nearly all the buildings on the layout, together with the viaduct and dam, have been scratch built. The station building is that at Newton Moor, and the viaduct is a double-track version of those on the West Highland Line. Strathearn Parkway, 00 gauge, Roger Cartwright. A fictional but plausible what-if scenario, where the line out to Crieff from Perth was merely cut back to the south-east of the town rather than closed entirely. A new simplified station was opened with trains to Edinburgh and Glasgow via Perth. Construction of the layout was kept simple, but Roger wanted to show what can still be achieved with some mobility and hand issues, even if some of the more fiddly details were left off.
Far better results than just plaster the spray everywhere. Put some green on with your static grass applicator.
Scotch Road, S4 scale, 18.83mm gauge, Alan Goodwillie. Making its debut here, Scotch Road is a work-in-progress model of the main yard line for the Wemyss private railway in Fife as it was in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Wemyss colliery traffic worked into the yard from both directions, with trains being built up and sent east to the washer at Methil before most of it being taken to the docks for transport onwards. The BR Thornton to Methil line also runs alongside. The layout includes an engine yard as well as a wagon works. One particular feature of note is the watering and ash handling area alongside the diminutive signal box, very much in the company's style.
In this weather, absolutely.
Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.